Hi, I'm Larry London. This is Border Crossings. Today, we welcome singer-songwriter Jessie Palter, whose great-grandfather invented platform shoes. Her new CD is called Paper Trail, which is her first full-length studio album. Jessie says her new music is inspired by such legendary singers as Carole King, Sarah McLachlan, and Sara Bareilles. Jessie Palter joins us to perform live on today's show and tell us about the music of her debut CD. One song she admits came to her in her shower. Join us today as we shine the spotlight on a talented singer-songwriter, Jessie Palter. Coming up on Border Crossings. Hi, I'm Larry London, and welcome to Border Crossings. We're joined today by a singer-songwriter who's making the transition from jazz music to pop music on her brand new album, Paper Trail. We welcome to Washington, D.C., Jessie Palter. It's nice to have you here.
I'm so happy to be here.
We're thrilled to have you in our studios. And why the leap to a whole new genre of music? For somebody who's established in the jazz format, now you're taking a big risk.
Well, it was actually a really smooth transition. I always did both. And the first time I found songwriting was in a more mainstream space. That was around when I was 13 years old. I was a very hungry kid that wanted to make it in the music industry, and I reached out to a great songwriter who is based in Nashville, Andrew Gold, who is responsible for Thank You for Being a Friend.
Right, red hair too,
you.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I know him well.
And I think he thought it was hilarious that this young, precocious 13-year-old reached out to him and said, I want to be a star. And so he brought me out to Nashville with my family, and I started writing music, and that was very much bubblegum pop. As time progressed, I was being shopped to labels. It's tough to make it in the music industry, as I'm sure you're very aware. And so the most important thing that I realized is that rather than just be a singer, I wanted to be a fully rounded musician, and I went to school for jazz. I also had a knack for improvisation. I went to Performing Arts Middle School, and I was very involved in musical theater there. And I was playing the narrator in the production of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And as you know, Andrew Lloyd Webber doesn't really leave much room for improvisation. But I made it my mission in dress rehearsal after rehearsing this show for months that I just got up on stage and I started doing all these riffs and embellishments. And my teacher is like, what is she doing? And she pulled me aside and reamed me out, and then pulled my mom aside and said, she's got an ear for improvisation. So I also found jazz at a really young age. And I just always did both. I was learning the language of jazz and improvisation, and then I was also writing pop songs. The record company that signed me is a traditional jazz label that wanted to cross over, and they followed my career since I was a young girl coming up in the jazz clubs in Detroit. And the president of the record company heard a song off of a jazz record that I made that was a little more crossover, a little more folky pop. I was raised on the likes of Joni Mitchell and Carole King and James Taylor, the great songwriters. And so it was a really natural place for me. And he said, can you give me a record of this? And so I did some soul searching and went back to the drawing board, and I said, if I'm going to do this, it has to be honest. It has to be authentic. I'm not going to think about what I'm writing. I'm going to try and shut the cerebral jazz musician part of my brain off that wants to make things dissonant and interesting and cool and a little more esoteric. And I'm just going to write about what I'm going through. And so it came out as this record. And I wrote, I don't even know how many songs over the course of the year. The label hadn't signed me yet, but it was by the umpteenth song that I sent the president of the label the next day. He offered the deal.
Wow.
And here we are. So it's been a real...
Well, you've won awards as a jazz singer. So,
thank you.
And I don't think that jazz... I mean, music is music, and great music is great music, but the jazz fans don't tend to be listening to the pop channels, and the pop fans aren't listening to the jazz music typically. So this is kind of a new lane and a new thing.
That's true. I have a very difficult time placing music in a box, and I'm working with a record company has been an amazing experience and also an eye-opening experience because I'm a little more focused on the business part of the music business. And we're in these meetings and you talk about marketing and image and all this stuff. And I don't hear music as a genre. It's just sound to me. And that's maybe why when other people listen to my music, they hear a lot of blending of genres in there. It's just... everything that I've listened to and been influenced by all meshed together. So for me, it feels like a very natural transition. I don't think it behooves me to spend my time thinking what other people are going to make of it. Let them do it.
Right.
But I'm just really proud of the music that I wrote. It's honest. It was my stories living in Los Angeles, trying to, be the next big singer-songwriter. And I'm just so excited it's coming out.
I can tell you're excited. Jessie Palter is our guest on Border Crossings. And so you said, listening to the music that influenced you and the direction you went, who influenced you?
Oh my God, the list is like a mile long. I'll be here all day. Stevie Wonder, Ella Fitzgerald, Miles Davis, Joni Mitchell, massive. The Beatles, Carole King,
Michael
James
Jackson,
Taylor.
we were talking about.
Michael Jackson. Oh my God, massive fan. Prince.
Wow.
Like all of the great, fully rounded, holistic artists. But for me, it's always been about the song too. So I'm really just into songs. I'm into stories. I'm into beautiful melodies. I'm into beautiful harmonies. And it's what I love.
That's
it's what I
you.
do. It's me. It is.
We're going to ask if you'd sing a song for us.
I'd love to.
We'd love to hear something. What are you going to sing?
This song is called Heavy is the Crown.
Heavy. Is this on the new album?
It is.
All
Yes.
right. Great. Jessie Palter.
1, 2, 3. First you say that the weight of the world's on your shoulders. Then you say that you got it in the palm of your hand. Just when I thought that you couldn't get any bolder. Should've guessed perfect just to prove that you can. Must get lonely living out of spite, and always being right. Heavy is the crown you wear. Heavy is the crown you wear. It ain't easy being king. Have your way with everything. Heavy is the crown you wear, but it's a burden that you bear. And I wouldn't try it on, even if you let me. It's just so heavy. Heard you say that you got everything in your pocket. Won't admit that you're just hanging on by the thread. Ooh. Right when I thought you might give me a chance to rock it. Should've known you go sit on your throne that's as big as your head. And everyone around you must bow down. 'Cause who rules this town? Heavy is the crown you wear. Heavy is the crown you wear. It ain't easy being king. Have your way with everything. Heavy is the crown you wear, but it's a burden that you bear. I wouldn't try it on, even if you let me. It's just so heavy. It's you that we all just living. We know. Take and leave what it is that you're giving. Hope. Long live the king who wears the crown that brings him down. It's just so heavy. It's just so heavy. It's just so heavy. Just so heavy. Heavy is the crown you wear. Heavy is the crown you wear. It ain't easy being king. Have your way with everything. Heavy is the crown you wear, but it's a burden that you bear. And I wouldn't try it on, even if you let me. It's just so heavy. It's just so heavy. It's just so heavy. Just so heavy. Oh, heavy is the crown you wear, but it's a burden that you bear. And I on, trying on, even if you love me. It's just so heavy.
Wow, that sounds great. Jesse Palter, live here on Border Crossings. Who's your accompanist?
This is Zach Comtois. He's an amazing guitarist. He and I are recent friends, and I think now we're just going to be friends forever. So I'm super grateful to have him here playing with me. He also is Britney Spears' guitarist.
Whoa.
And I love me some Britney, so that's kind of cool.
Don't we all?
And she didn't take you to the Caribbean with her, huh?
Oh, I wish. I wish.
Now, your album is also produced by Britney's producer and Celine Dion's producer.
So he actually played on, I believe, her first record, the keyboardist. I don't think he produced the record, but he was the original piano player on Hit Me Baby One More Time.
Wow.
And
Awesome.
he had wonderful things to say about her. And, you know, when I was coming up, like I was the weird, you know, kid that was like listening to like transcribing Miles Davis solos and then also like, you know, learning Britney Spears dance moves. So I always had both going on. It was, yeah.
Is it hard to change your writing from jazz to pop? Is there a difference between the two in terms of the writing of songs?
There actually is. When I'm composing for a jazz setting, it's a little more methodical. It's a little more scientific, I would say. When I'm writing my songwriter stuff, I just have to shut it all off, not overthink it. You know, that's the way that I think it flows the easiest.
The content doesn't change, or does it? I mean, because you're, you know, looking for a maybe, perhaps, potentially a younger audience with a pop song.
It's so interesting. We were just talking about this. I was like, so he was a songwriting major at Berkeley, which is amazing. And I was a jazz major at University of Michigan School of Music. And I was like, you know, in a way, I wish that I took more songwriting courses, but I have bought some of these like songwriting books, how to write better lyrics, how to be a better songwriter. And when I read them, it almost gets in the way of what I do so naturally. Like when I found songwriting, it made so much sense to me. I'm a middle child, a sensitive little soul. And it made so much sense to me as a way to process everything that I was feeling and sort of navigate through life as, you know, this sensitive little artist growing up in West Bloomfield, Michigan.
Wow. Now, you mentioned University of Michigan, and I bought my first car on State Street, so I know that area very well.
I lived on State Street.
Well, see, we have that common connection.
I love it.
Right here.
Love
The
it.
new album is Paper Trail, and Jesse, you're on tour right now for the new album.
Yes.
How's the tour going?
It's going really well. We're doing a promo tour because we're sort of in this new lane. We're just trying to build up as much awareness as we possibly can. Any chance I have to play this music is such a thrill for me. I love these songs. I love singing them. I love working with amazing musicians. So I'm having a total blast, and I just can't wait to do more.
Now, when you do these shows, because the fan base you have are familiar with the jazz music more than the pop music, do you put any jazz songs into the show? Are you saying this is who I am, so there's a little bit of jazz, a little bit of pop, or is this focused on the sound that you're putting out now?
So far, have been really spending my time trying to hone these songs, these arrangements. You can't take the jazz musician out of me. You just can't. It's
It shouldn't.
And
I mean, you know, that's who you are.
Totally. Being a jazz vocalist is who I am at my core. Being a songwriter is who I am at my core. So I think like the jazz makes its presence known, but I haven't sung any standards.
Okay. I
I
thought
still
maybe
do
you'd
that,
pull the
though.
oboe out and play some oboe for us.
God. You did your homework.
I
am
did
so
my homework.
impressed. That would be a terrible idea. Oh my God.
Now, let me ask you this. You also gave up something that was near and dear to you, which is not easy to do, the theater, performing on stage for people. And to do, I mean, you're still performing on stage, but acting in a play, in a production, when you have the acting bug,
Right.
You've given that up, more or less. Or have you not? Have you thought maybe you can return to acting someday?
My parents ask me this question too. They love to ask me this because they were always so supportive of my acting chops, which is very, very sweet. I think like maybe it's somewhere in my subconscious. For me, what spoke to me the most about musical theater was the musical component, the amazing songs, the compositions. The theatrical element was always like a little over the top for me, but I love it. That said, like I love the art of it. I just feel like I'm on a mission to get the word out there about this music, and I'm throwing everything that I have into it, and who knows where my art will take me. Like I'm open-minded to wherever it naturally falls, but right now it's all about the songwriting and these songs.
And you went to West Bloomfield High School?
I did.
Because they're famous for theater in Michigan. I mean, everybody knows they've got a great theatrical department.
Yeah, and the middle school that I went to specialized in the performing arts, and it was a super competitive program. And that's the other thing about musical theater, and even just the music industry to begin with, is the competitive nature of it is so not my cup of tea. It's so not my thing. Like I'm very much about community, and we're all in this together, and we all lift each other up, and that doesn't always work. That's not to say you don't come across those people, but I feel like I've always been like, I'm like the last in line kind of gal rather than the first in line kind of gal. And so I just try and make it all about the love of the music. And
Great. Are you still living in Detroit, or where?
No, I live in Los Angeles.
Wow.
I've lived there for many years now. It feels like home. You would never know that I grew up with snow, because I'm out there drinking green juice and hiking up mountains and, going to the beach and walking with my dogs everywhere. I take my dogs everywhere. It's like I'm very much an LA girl now. But the most amazing thing for me, and the biggest compliment that I feel like I get, is when I'm singing and people that aren't familiar with my work come up after my set, and they say, "How did you learn to sing with so much soul?" And I like, my answer is always, "I'm from Detroit," and they're like,
Motown.
Got it.
That's it. Well, we're thrilled to have you in our studios. Jessie Palter is here, and we're talking about a brand new album and a new direction in your career. And so if you wouldn't mind doing another song, we'd love to hear some more new music.
Yes, please.
What's this called?
This one is the title track. It's called Paper Trail.
All right. What's this about? Can you tell us what inspired this?
I will try and tell you. I've been learning more and more as of late, because I'm like such an open book, that if I give away too much of what the song is about, then it doesn't leave room for other people to make it their own. So I feel like when people ask me this question, I'm like, don't tell everything, Jessie. It's looking back on a relationship that didn't work out, from the viewpoint of it being nice for what it was, and regardless of the fact that it was perfect on paper, it didn't make sense, but it was nice for a moment in time.
All right, beautiful. Paper Trail, Jessie Palter.
1, 2, 3. I must admit, have come across a photograph of us and wondered once or twice where we went wrong. As I stared right at her smiles frozen like ice, suffice to say, I have a knack for sentimental things, and you have paid a price. It's hard for me to let go once it's ended, or admit it can't be mended, but that's just how I choose to roll the dice. I don't remember who I was when I was who I was with you. I don't remember who you were when you were there with me too. No, I don't remember who I was when I was who I was with you. I don't remember who you were when you were there with me too. No, all that's left to show this paper trail of everything that we let go. I guess we'll never know where we could have been if our love had a chance to grow. But this photo to remind us it was nice for just a moment in time. It's been a while, but there are still some things I can't forget, no matter how I try, like how I cried when I questioned if our love would live or die. Why, oh why? I made a list of all the things about you that I like, and I couldn't deny that You were perfect down on paper. I had nothing bad to say except you weren't perfect for me in real life. I don't remember who I was when I was who I was with you. I don't remember who you were when you were there with me too. I don't remember who I was when I was who I was with you. I don't remember who you were when you were there with me too. Now all that's left to show this paper trail of everything that we let go. I guess we'll never know what we could have been if our love had a chance to grow. But this photo to remind us it was nice for just a moment. Ooh. To show this paper trail of everything that we let go. I guess we'll never know what we could have been if our love had a chance to grow. But this photo to remind us of the best of us behind us. Looking back, I saw it coming, wouldn't trade it all for nothing. It was nice for just a moment. I guess life is just a moment in time. It was nice for just a moment in time. It was nice for just a moment in time.
Beautiful. That was lovely. Jessie Palter. Now it's the title track, Paper Trails, about a relationship that didn't work out. You've got another song about breakups called Sever the Ties. Is this all connected? Is there a story? Is there something happening here underneath the surface?
That's a great question. No, they're actually about two separate people.
Two separate relationships.
Two separate relationships.
Okay.
Yeah. Sever the Ties. I parted ways with somebody that I collaborated with for a really, really, really long time. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't a romantic parting of ways, but all of the emotion mm-hmm. and the anger and the resentment, I was working through all of it. Yeah.
Does the person who the song was written about, does he know that it's about him?
I have no clue. I know he has heard the record. Interestingly enough, I wasn't in touch with him throughout the entire recording process. Mm-hmm. And it was probably a year or so after we got back in touch, and he has heard the record. I'm not going to say anything. And I want him to watch the show because, I want you to get your numbers, but, I hope he's not watching the show.
Well, we're talking with Jessie Palter, whose new album is Paper Trail. It's a brand new beginning for a career that goes back. I guess your debut album was 13 years ago or something, 13, 14 years ago.
Yeah, I was a baby.
So you've put out a few albums in that amount of time, and this is something very different. And I read where these songs come to you in some interesting places. In the shower, you like to write music in the shower?
We were just talking about this too. Sure. The shower.
Were you in the shower too? Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
Where did this come up?
No. This is not true. But he writes songs in the shower, he was saying, and it's something about this like meditative space that you get into where you're just like not thinking about what you're doing. It allows your brain to open up so that other things can just sort of come to you. And the funny story about Sever the Ties was that I had a writing session scheduled with another guitarist friend of mine. It was one of the earlier times we were writing together. So I love writing music by myself. Like Paper Trail was written all by myself. And then I also love collaborating with other musicians, and they can sometimes get me out of my own head. And they always bring something to the table, and it's just cool to riff off of each other. So I do a lot of both. And I also write songs for other artists as well. So a lot of times you're collaborating when you're doing that. At this specific instance, it was one of my first times writing with this guitarist, and it helps as a jumping off point to like bring in a nugget of an idea. So I knew I had the session. I didn't really have anything that was coming to me, and I was taking a shower, getting ready for the session, going through this breakup. And the shampoo bottle like fell off the counter that it was on and ricocheted off the counter onto the shower door and then back to like the counter area and then on the ground. And it was this like rhythm. And that was all I needed to hear. And like the concept of like, it's so bizarre to me how it happens. Truly, I don't know how it happens. I sometimes wish I did, because then maybe like I could talk about a process. Like I sort of have little tricks that I can go to if I'm feeling a little bit of writer's block or if I need to find inspiration. But like I still don't really understand how I do it. It's just what happens. So for whatever reason, this shampoo bottle made me think of this rhythmic motive that I used throughout the entire song. The Sever the Ties concept came to me, and I had myself a song in the shower.
And there it was born in the shower. So I like to ask this of songwriters: where's the most interesting or unique, beyond the shower, the most interesting and unique place that you've ever written a song, that an idea came to you?
Oh my God, I wish I had thought about this before. I mean, the shower, well, I'm a lady. I don't want to talk about some of the places inspiration tends to come. You know, I do a fair amount of hikes, and so on the top of very beautiful mountains in Los Angeles, I've gotten some ideas. I don't know if that's so interesting, but it's very scenic. You know, plains a lot of times.
Any of your travels, has that inspired a song? Any of the places you've been?
Oh, I'm sure it's in there somewhere. It's hard to even keep track of all the songs that you've written. I think about this all the time too, because when you're a writer, it's just like what you do, and you have to do it for myself.
Right.
At the end of the day, like obviously, I'm happy to have recorded a record. I'm happy to have a label involved in what I do, but I also do it because it's just what I need to do.
Sure.
It's my therapy, and so there are so many songs that I have that like are at the song graveyard that just...
Right. That's got to be sad when you're limited.
It is
when
sad.
they say, here's your CD, but you can only pick 12.
Yeah, it's
even though
tough.
you've written 50 or 100 or whatever.
It is tough. Like, and sometimes then you don't think about these songs for a while, and then they come up. In fact, actually, one of the songs on the record, Goodbye, My Friend, I don't even think I told you this, which is a ballad that means so much to me on so many levels. It originally... The original title was sent to me by a musician when I was writing for my jazz record, like in 2013, and he sent it to me. It was an odd meter. The chord changes were like very jazz, like there was more extension. I don't want to get too into it, but like it was very jazz oriented. It just didn't sound at the time like what I was hearing. And when he sent me the title, Goodbye, My Friend, I was like, that is so morbid, dude. I'm not going to write that. I want to think about some happy stuff. And I hadn't thought about the song for years. And then I was writing for this record, and I had a dream that somebody who was very close to me, who was struggling with alcoholism, died in the dream. And it felt so real to me. And I woke up, and I hadn't thought about Goodbye, My Friend in years. I woke up in the middle of the night, and the melody came back to me, but this time it came back to me in a different meter in music. And I just sort of like crawled over in a haze over to the piano, and the song basically like wrote itself as it is. So I had this title that was just like there in
Right.
the back of my. I guess that's an interesting place to write a song is in your sleep.
Yes.
That,
it comes to you in a dream. That's,
Definitely. And so the point of this is all to say that sometimes these songs that are like laying dormant come back in your life and they take different forms and they mean different things. And
Yes. That's wonderful. I mean, as a songwriter, that you can, it's therapeutic and you can express yourself in all these songs you give birth to and circumstances in your life.
For sure.
Throughout your life. And I know that speaking of, throughout your life, you've been influenced by a lot of creative forces. I read where your great-grandfather invented platform shoes.
This is true.
And are you wearing a pair of great-grandpa's platform shoes?
No, I'm not. And
Okay.
I do have some. But these shoes are by Steve Madden.
Oh.
My dad works for Steve Madden. He is a sales rep for Steve Madden. And little known fact, Steve Madden went into the shoe industry because he was inspired by my great-grandfather. So there's this amazing story about the invention of the platform shoe, the slingback, the peep toe, which my great-grandfather Dan Palter invented.
Wow.
And not a lot of people know about, like, the true fashion people do know like, you don't think about where does the
Right.
platform shoe come from?
Sure.
But it comes from my great-grandfather. And so he was a total fashion mogul, just brilliant guy. And he had the first luxury footwear brand in the 1920s called Palter Liso. It was Dan Palter and an Italian designer, Jim DeLiso. And they were doing luxury shoe wear before Christian Louboutin and Jimmy Choo. And
Are you into fashion design?
I'm a little into fashion. Yeah, I like it. I do. And I think that I'm really into the intersection of fashion and music. I feel like it was always really important for me to like dress the sound.
Well, you've led such an interesting life, and you have, you've taken on so many different things and done them all so well.
That's really sweet.
Well, no, and so, I'm looking forward to the new album, the tour that follows the new album and all that when you go on the big headline tour. That's fantastic. So exciting time.
On the vision board, putting it out in the universe.
To be giving birth.
Headlining tour.
This is like giving birth.
Exactly.
It's a brand new product and a brand new project and new direction. Paper Trail is the album, and we're with Jessie Palter. And would you do another song for us?
I would love to. I'm so excited about this song. We just released this song. It's the new single off my record. And
What's this about?
Well, this is.
Or is this another one you can't tell me too much about?
No, this is the. And of course, per usual, I ended up telling you more than I thought I was going to. This is the shampoo Ricochet.
Oh, the shampoo one.
We're gonna do the shampoo one.
Okay. We'll be listening for the
which
shampoo
is an
bottle.
interesting tagline of a song. This is called "Sever the Ties."
Sever the Ties. Jessie Palter.
1, 2. Demons in disguise, I see it in your eyes. Nothing here to hide, no. You got what you want, you save your alibis, and I'll say my goodbyes. Leave with pride like I should've done long ago. Got no worries here, won't shed a single tear. Mostly over it though, it's still hard to swallow. No need to restore it, I'll be better for it. That's the final blow. I hope you enjoy the mess you made. Find yourself somewhere far away. Demons in disguise, but I'm all the wiser. Don't apologize, no, just sever the ties. Sever the ties, sever the ties that bind us, sever the ties. Oh, we're done for, so better hurry up and run from it. Run, 1,000 chances, but you never learn. Yeah, can't return, so let's sever the ties. Gone out of my head from all the things you said. Foolish words I was fed. The lies I told for you. Not a chance in hell. I'd buy one word you sell. Couldn't pay me enough to stay anymore. I hope you enjoy the mess you made. Buy yourself some skies, but I'm all the wiser. No need to reprise yourself at the task. Oh, we're done for, so better hurry up and run from it. Run, 1,000 chances, but you never learn. Yeah, can't return, so let's sever the ties, sever the ties, sever the ties that bind us. Sever the ties, sever the ties, sever the ties that bind us. The ties, sever the ties, sever the ties that bind us. The ties that bind us. Sever the ties, sever the ties that bind us. The ties. Oh, we're done for, so better hurry up and run from it. Run, 1,000 chances, but you'd never learn. Yeah, can't return, so let's sever the ties. No, you never learn. Can't return, so let's sever the ties. The ties. Ooh.
Woo! Sever the Ties. Jesse Palter off
you
of
so
the new
much.
album Paper Trail. Where can people get the album and find your tour schedule and read up about you?
Yeah, I'm on all of the social media platforms at Jesse Palter. I've got jessepalter.com. The record is going to be available on Amazon. It's going to be available on iTunes, on Spotify, on Apple Music, on Tidal, on SoundCloud.
Wow.
If they just like, you know, I mean, everybody probably, this is a hilarious thing to say, but if you Google Jesse Palter, Jesse Palter, you can find me, and please say hello. I love hearing from new people that are listening to the music and connecting with you also. Thank you so much.
Any possibility of an international tour?
Oh my God, that's a dream. That's the plan.
Well, you're making a lot of new fans right now around the world, so hopefully
you
you'll
so
get out
much.
there and share your music with the world. Thank
Can't
you
wait.
for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
A pleasure to meet you and to have you here.
So nice to meet you.
Jesse Palter, our guest, Paper Trail, the name of the new album. I'm Larry London, and this is Border Crossings.